Okay, my name is Sergeant First Class Tripp. I'm the military science instructor here at UW-Eau Claire ROTC. And the course we're talking about is MSL 102. It's our freshman class, second semester. Okay, the course itself is a little bit difficult to describe because everybody hears Army and they automatically think contract, requirement, obligation. The course is a set. It's a course here at the university. Its primary objectives are to train leadership using the 21st soldier competencies that the Army's defined. So that's the method by which we train leadership, but it's really not any different than any other leadership course you take through the College of Business or any other programs here on the university. It's a 1 credit hour. It does come with a requirement of a leadership lab, which is a hands-on 2-hour lab every Thursday. And the intent of that is to expose people to an environment that maybe they're not used to in order to get after leadership abilities again. As we talk about that, we start to think of things that are more common to the understanding of what people might define as Army training. So you go out there, you'll get to have your chance to work some tactics and put yourself in a situation where maybe you're a little bit more uncomfortable. And that's where the leadership training really starts to show. When you put people in situations they're not used to being in, you'd be surprised what kind of leadership abilities start to show and come to the forefront. So we use the Army training as a methodology, but it's not really the primary focus of the class. There's just no way within the short time that we have a student or a cadet, as we call them, in the program that we can train them to a tactical level of competency that a soldier through basic training would be defined as. So we really try and focus much more on the leadership dimensions and problem solving. Okay, so the activity that we filmed was the land navigation course. And although it's defined as land navigation 3, some of the students as their first application with a map in front of them. The military map is really not much different. Instead of using latitude and longitude, we use the military grid reference system, and that has its own nuances. So as the cadets get exposure to this, they start to learn how to find where they are, plot their grids, define where they want to go, and start to use the terrain in a way that would benefit them from a movement standpoint. So if you have to move from point A to point B, you're obviously not going to swim across the lake. You need to plan a way around it. So defining how to do that can be challenging if there's multiple factors. There's not always a road that goes where you want. Sometimes you have to go through the woods. Sometimes it's best to go through the woods. So how do you define and get from one point to another? So they learn some skills like that, and that all comes into terrain analysis, and then actually using the map and the tools we give you, the compass and the protractor, to actually plot a way out and say, okay, this is the route I want to take. This is why it's advantageous to us. And this is how it benefits my mission. And then they go through all that and actually begin to apply it later on in the course. We just came back last weekend from a field training exercise down at Fort McCoy that some of the some of the cadets had the opportunity to participate in, where they put those skills to the test. Actually went out in a field environment with blanks and everything else, and really trained land navigation and tacticals and problem solving in that environment down there with about 8 other schools from across the region. And then we'll go in another weekend and do it again just as an Eau Claire school and really get to train it again and really have the cadets put it to good practice. So they really get some confidence with what they've developed here in a class. And it's a lot of fun to watch them come from not being comfortable with the material to actually applying it in the field. The PT component for a freshman, and let's speak to a non-contracted, which is a person who just comes in and takes the class. Because we do have to pay respect to those people who come in here and have already made that decision and made a commitment to the Army, because there are 4-year scholarship winners from high school, etc. So if you're a non-contracted student, meaning receiving no benefits from the Army at all, we ask you to come to PT once a week. And physical training, thank you. And that is nothing more than us getting together for about an hour every morning. Right now it's from 6:30 to 7:30. And we do that at McPhee on the track, and typically it consists of running, push-ups and sit-ups, and a little bit of calisthenics. So if you've done something with the KINS program here on campus or other athletic departments, it'll probably look pretty similar. The Army has its own way to attack the problem, but really that's just a method again. And it's just it's neat to be a part of something like that because you get to see a whole nother culture. There's all these other rules and regulations, and drill and ceremonies are a part of that, and that's kind of what PT starts to get after. To take away from this course, again, it's all about leadership. So if you could really leave here and be more confident with yourself, whether you decide to pursue a career in the military or not is really irrelevant. Most of the cadets that come in here, end up forming a bond with the other cadets. And that's not because the instructors are great. That's not because there's something special or unique that we offer here. It's just because when you're given a problem and you have to solve it to a team and you really feel a sense of ownership of that problem, you tend to bond with the people that you're doing that with. So of the 40 or so cadets that we currently have in the program, only about a third of them are contracted, and the rest of them really are involved with the program because they really feel that sense of belonging. And I think that is one of the greater benefits that we have of the program, is that there's this big group that starts to form around a problem that becomes kind of a nucleus, and they really start to bond with one another and start to grow and develop. And the leadership training that we do in the class really just sets the framework for what they do together, and they bring that outside. So really, I think if there's something that they take away from the course, it's what they could really develop throughout their whole career here in the school. Because the friends and everyone you meet here and the skills that you learn, they're not a one-shot, one-kill. It's not learn, test, dump. These are life skills that you'll use throughout. So we try not to offer the test is, okay, that's great. The school has a requirement to do certain things. We try and measure some things that are a little bit more intangible. It's hard to measure on an exam confidence or communication ability. Those are the things that we want to chase after. Those are hard measurements to put on paper and assign a GPA to. But those are the things that we really chase after and try to develop throughout this program. And the friendships and everything else that are found here, that's really a huge another benefit that just there's no way to quantify, and really is a huge benefit of the course. And that's all thanks to the cadets that take this program, the ownership they feel of it. So hard to say that's something you can take away from the course, but it's amazing because that's really what most people get from it. When you walk back and at the end of every semester we do an after-action review and we say, okay, what really made this course successful for you? And it ends up being the people in your left and right, not really the instructors, not really the course material, but just going through this experience together and having the ability to bond. And that really becomes something special.